Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. I'm a TV reviewer. I have finished setting up this Samsung Q80T 2020 QLED television, and I'm going to go through the picture settings in the user menu to see what's new. So if I can summon the picture menu, you can see that it is in the out-of-the-box standard picture mode. So I will change it to the most accurate movie picture preset, and we will go into the picture settings submenu. So the first option that you can see here hopefully is brightness. Now in previous years on previous Samsung televisions, this is known as backlight, but for 2020 I think the South Korean brand has decided to label this as brightness, and this basically just determines the light output of the backlight. This is still a conventional LED LCD television even though it has the QLED moniker. So the next item would be contrast. This sets the digital white level, and I note that there is no black level or what would be labeled as brightness previously on this menu, but hopefully we can find that later on. And then the next item would be sharpness. This applies edge enhancement to the picture to sharpen the picture when the picture maybe is natively soft, but if you use this unnecessarily, then it may create more noise in the picture. So the next item would be color. This applies a global saturation increase to all the colors and also probably color luminance as well. And then tint would be rotating all the colors in a certain hue, and apply all picture settings. You can set this TV to either adopt these picture settings only on this particular input, in which case you would select current source, or you can just apply any adjustments that you have made to all sources. We'll leave it on all sources for now. Picture clarity settings. This is new to 2020 Samsung televisions. Previously, I believe that this is known as Auto Motion Plus, which is their motion compensated frame interpolation system. But if we go into the picture clarity settings submenu, you can see that there would be the traditional blur reduction and jitter reduction controls. So the blur reduction would be applying motion compensated frame interpolation on high frame rate content. By high frame rate content, I mean 50 Hz or 60 Hz content, whereas jitter reduction will be applying some smoothing on lower frame rate content. For example, 24 Hz, 25 Hz or 30 Hz content to introduce some sort of soap opera effect to make films or movies look smoother. And then next down would be LED clear motion, which I believe would apply some backlight scanning or black frame insertion. So the mere presence of these three controls here indicates that this Q80T here is a native 120 Hz set. Now under picture clarity settings, because I think Samsung is trying to get away from Auto Motion Plus or all the motion settings, you can probably see noise reduction being included under the picture clarity settings as well. So it is set to auto by default, and then there is just basically an on-off toggle, and we'll leave it on auto for now. And if we go to the next setting, this would be local dimming, which is set to standard. This Q80T is actually equivalent to last year's Samsung Q70R, and this is the entry-level full array local dimming set from Samsung Electronics this year. So let's say this year you want to buy an FALD TV from Samsung. This is the cheapest or most affordable that you can buy in the year 2020. So just like Samsung TVs over the past 2 or 3 years, you can't switch the local dimming off. So you can set it to low, standard, or high. And I think high would be applying some sort of SDR to HDR conversion to SDR content, and it is probably necessary for HDR content for the local dimming to be set to high to achieve the highest peak brightness that the set is capable of. But let's leave it on standard and go back. Next would be contrast enhancer, which I believe applies some dynamic contrast enhancement to the picture which may be unnecessary if you are trying to watch movies in the creator's intent. Film mode, this is grayed out at the moment because I have no sources running on the TV, because I've just basically unboxed it and sat down, set the camera on, and still wearing some gloves and it is grayed out at the moment. But let's say if you feed and interlace the broadcast signal to the TV, the film mode will be applying some film mode interlacing to present a progressive picture to the TV. And then color tone, this would be various color temperature preset on this television. So it ranges from cool, which would be the bluest standard, warm 1, and warm 2, which would be the reddest and likely to be most accurate to the D65 white point used in the film and broadcast industry. And then white balance, we would be going into this submenu where you can see, just like previous years, there would be 2-point and 20-point white balance controls. Under the 2-point submenu, you can see 6 controls here: red gain, green gain, blue gain, red offset, green offset, and blue offset. The gain controls would affect the brighter portion of the image, whereas the offset controls would affect the darker portion of the image. And if we get out from here, you can also achieve greater precision by using the 20-point controls for white balance or grayscale calibration. So if you switch it on, you can see that you can adjust every single 5% interval from 5% all the way up to 100% video stimulus. And if we get out from here, gamma, this dictates how the input signal is translated to the light output on screen. So you can see that it is set to BT1886 by default for SDR content, and I'm intrigued to find that there is a 2.2 option now as well, because this wasn't present on Samsung TVs over the past couple of years. And obviously, if you feed HDR content, it would either go to ST2084, which is the PQ curve, or HLG or hybrid out gamma, which is a standard that has been developed by the BBC and NHK for broadcast-friendly HDR transmission. But we'll leave it on BT1886 for now. And even under BT1886, I believe that you can probably, because it is a blank input, I can't see what changes this adjustment is doing to the picture, but I will explore this when I fully review this television. Now, this is again new to 2020 sets. This is probably the brightness control on previous Samsung televisions, so the shadow detail will be adjusting the near black gamma. So if you go lower, then you'll be darkening the near black gamma, whereas if you go higher, you would be brightening the near black gamma to get shadow detail clearer. But again, I think, without doing some testing, it is not usually wise for you to start adjusting this, because you don't know how bright the shadow detail should be, what would be the reference level of shadow detail. And RGB only mode, in the old days, this is used to check color decoding, but these days we just use meter. The color space settings, this is set to auto by default, but you can also use the custom color space submenu to assess the color management system, or CMS, on this television. So you can adjust the 3 primary colors of red, green, and blue, and the 3 secondary colors of yellow, cyan, and magenta. And under each color, there are 3 further parameters for you to adjust, which would be red, green, and blue. So this means that this TV, just like all Samsung televisions before, will be using an RGB-based color management system, or CMS, whereas let's say some other brands will be using the HSL, the hue, saturation, and luminance system. And reset picture. Besides that, I probably would want to go into the general settings and let you see the external device manager, game mode settings. Right, you can see that I misstepped there. Basically, from experience, wearing rubber just decreases my sensitivity to things. But let's talk about game mode then. So if you switch game mode on, you would be able to access various parameters to lower the input lag and boost the responsiveness of the set for playing fast reflex games. And again, I see dynamic black equalizer, which from previous Samsung TVs manipulated the near black gamma, and also game motion plus, which would allow you to apply some motion interpolation to in-game footage while maintaining a semi-respectable level of input lag. So we'll switch it off for now, because I think it may be a bit bright and blow out on the camera. And input signal plus would be engaging HDMI 2.0 or maybe even certain HDMI 2.1 features. I don't know, I'll have to do more testing on each one of these individual HDMI ports. And that would conclude my walkthrough of the picture settings on the Samsung Q80T. And I think that I found a couple of things that are new. So I'll be spending probably the next week or so reviewing and testing this television. So if you have any questions about this TV or just in general about what is shown on screen, just leave a comment in the YouTube section below. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to the HDTV Test YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.